So you want to play a big game hunter in Fantasy Flight Games Star Wars Edge of the Empire or any of the other RPGs? Well, the Explorer Careers sourcebook has the Big Game Hunter talent tree, which is actually kind of similar-ish to the Bounty Hunter Survivalist, kind of. If that one interested you, but it wasn't quite what you wanted, this might actually be better. So already I'm seeing similarities. There's some stealth in each. There's a little bit of tracking, right? Expert tracker, some outdoorsy stuff, navigating the terrain, that sort of thing. This one, though, had a big emphasis on survivability in a variety of ways and durability and all that. This one doesn't really have much of that at all. You survive by taking out the enemy at a distance before they get to you. Very little defense for the most part. But this one has some better offensive team help and offense in general. Anyway, okay, so we'll put that away. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, if you saw that tree and you wanted a bit more offense and a bit more interesting gameplay, Big Game Hunter might be the talent tree for you. Let's start with the stealth aspect of the character. Well, there's not much to it. It's an agility-focused tree for the most part. I mean, it makes sense. You want to stay at range. Rarely does a big game hunter like attack the elephant or rancor or fombo with the vibroblade or whatever. You know, it's probably lends itself better to sniping and all that, especially because your defense isn't that good. Distance is your friend. So yeah, more of a sniper kind of a character. But because you're focused on range combat, your agility is going to be pretty high, which means your stealth is going to be pretty decent because it's based off of agility. And we have a couple ranks of a talent which will help you with your stealth checks. And we got a couple ranks of a talent which will help you with your stealth checks. One of them is really early in the upper tier, so right away with that free rank in stealth if you want to, and also that first talent, which, yeah, looking at the pathway, that probably should be the very first talent you get, is the help with stealth. Plus, almost certainly a 4 in agility. You're going to be pretty solid with stealth right out of the gate, and you don't really need to put any extra emphasis on it for a while. You're going to be pretty satisfied with your performance, in most cases anyway. So that's nice, I guess. You don't get much else help with it. Eventually you get that other rank of it, but, you know, there's no rush. What else do we got? Okay, so most of the tree is kind of front-loaded with a lot of, like, survival, navigating, terrain, and that sort of thing. Decrease travel time. Remove penalties from movement. You get some help finding food and shelter, and also you're pretty good at tracking stuff in general, so this makes for a pretty decent bounty hunter, I guess, with the later combat stuff we're going to get to, the stealth, plus tracking. Yeah, if you want a more unconventional-ish bounty hunter choice, this is the way to go, especially one with a big game hunter background. Also, we get a little help with perception and vigilance, which is nice and fits thematically. Finally, we get something that's really going to help the group on a semi-regular basis, in a semi-regular, big-ish way. Takes a while to get there. It's a little bit of a slow start, mostly just helping you out with minor stuff. Although I guess survival, navigating the terrain, depends on your GM and how they run their stuff. It's survival type stuff, even though it really fits Star Wars. They're always on some weird backwater world. I feel like they spend a third of every movie navigating some horrible terrain. Still, this is not something that really, I think, flows naturally from most people's brains to have the wilderness be a big part of their Star Wars campaign. It depends, though. Your mileage may vary. Anyway, eventually you'll get one where it's a talent we've talked about before, where you can provide a perception and vigilance buff to allies depending on how close they are to you. It will scale up. You use your heightened awareness of your surroundings to help them. It doesn't actually help you directly. Anyway, let's get to the really good stuff. Hunter's Quarry. So this is a talent I talked about. Executioner, the Jedi Executioner, the Jedi Seeker Executioner. They had a talent, Hunter's Quarry, and this one basically you select a target and then allies have an easier time attacking them for a time. Now in the tree here, just like it was in the Seeker sourcebook, I think it was, it's worded as you select a target that's at long range, which is very different than within long range. If it's within long range, then it's long range or shorter all the way up to or down to engage range. If it's at long range, then it's just no shorter, no farther than long range, which if that's the case, which is how it's written here, well then that sucks. It's a terrible talent, and I said as much. But if you look in the talent description, in this book and in that other book, it says within, which actually makes the talent worthwhile, and therefore the tree much better. I guess the same would go for Executioner. I kind of want to revisit that tree now. But yeah, that's a really weird typo. Unless I'm just taking how X-Wing does their range and within and at and applying it here. I think it's the same though. Is it the same? I don't feel like looking it up. And it doesn't really matter because it should just be within. What's the point of this talent if it's only at long range? Not medium, not extreme, but just long. So that's stupid. Don't do that. Anyway, point is, you do an action to make someone more vulnerable to everyone else's attacks, which of course is really great when you have a target that's really powerful and you all want to focus fire on it. Perhaps a big animal of some kind. So that makes sense. And you really want the improved version, which will make it on a maneuver instead of an action. So you don't have to choose between shooting or making someone more vulnerable. You could do both. Make them more vulnerable, shoot them, and then everyone else gets their turn. Also helping with combat, we do get Quick Strike. It takes forever to get to Quick Strike. Normally that's a first or second row talent, but you get a little help attacking someone if they hadn't taken their turn yet. So one time, a little bit of help on an attack check if they haven't gone yet. So it's only a little bit of help, only helps you once on that first round. And you want to make sure that the initiative order is such that you go before the bad guy you're going after with this, which is more likely to happen since you get to buff everyone's vigilance checks with that one talent I mentioned. We also have another big offensive talent, which is really cool thematically. I wish it was different thematically, but it would suck mechanically if it was. Anyway, so you know those talents that we see all the time where with a high cost you can use a characteristic rank to add a chunk of damage onto a hit? Well, this is sort of a play on that. Instead of being based off of one of your stats, it's based off of the enemy's stats. So the more brawny they are, the more bonus damage they take from you activating this talent. I guess it's sort of a bigger they are, harder they fall kind of a thing, sort of a situation, but part of me wants it to be based off of their silhouette. If they're a really big animal, big game hunter, really big animal, they would take more damage or something, but mechanically it just works better this way. Way more consistent, that's for sure. I mean, there's going to be plenty of enemies that have a 3 or more brawn. The high cost, you're only going to use it on the more powerful enemies, which won't necessarily have a 3, 4, or higher brawn, but many of them will, including your big creatures. So it's going to be pretty helpful, and also will consistently be helpful, not just something that only affects the large creatures. Mostly, though, to pump out the damage, you're going to be focusing on debuffing the enemy with the maneuver with the improved Hunter's Quarry, and then attacking them normally, and then everyone else does more damage on top of them, which is nice to have a combat tree where you get to help the other party, or you get to do combat in different ways, and it is nice that you have that consistent damage. I wish it was sooner, though. And I need to do this more with the trees, where switching talents is a nice way to fix the tree, because the flow is very important. The order you get things is very important. This is front-loaded with the more boring crap. Why is Quick Strike so far down the thing? Easily switch it with, Confidence. You have a talent which helps you with fear checks. Like, we could switch those, or with one of the tier 1 talents or something, like one of the movement-based talents, or a toughened or a grit. Switch Quick Strike with an earlier talent, or, more importantly, or whatever. More importantly, though, this is the change I really recommend. To make this tree a little less dumb, switch Hunter's Quarry with the heightened awareness, help people with their vigilance talent. So you get that one, or you can, if you want to, have access to Hunter's Quarry a bit sooner. Not much, but a bit. Enough to make a bit of a difference. And you're going to feel like you're contributing in a big, awesome, mostly unique-ish way, probably unique within your party way, much sooner, and you're going to feel like your tree is more worth it, and it'll definitely make the tree better. Hunter's Quarry and Heightened Awareness, switch those. Highly recommend that. As far as builds, agility and cunning are your two biggest priorities in that order. Agility, for stealth and combat, definitely has to be a 4. Cunning at least needs to be a 3. There's a talent which is based off of a cunning-based check. You really want a 3. It's not the easiest thing to pull off, and probably... Can we double up on that skill? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. You almost certainly want to double up on that particular skill, so you're ready for that check when you get to it, although it takes a while to get there, but still. For agility, 3 cunning, whatever else you want to do is fine. If you just want to get through the boring tree a little quicker, use the rest of your points to do that. Or the 4 cunning, 4 agility build, that's always great. And of course that'll help you with survival stuff, which is sort of what you do, although you get barely any help with survival checks in general. Oh, and we get melee defense. You get some melee defense, so keep them at range, but if people get close, you have an easier time avoiding. That's, yeah.